Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar on Energy Star and energy savings for your small business. My name is Emma Hollister, and I'm the Network Manager at Small Business Majority. And I am so pleased that we're presenting this webinar today as part of our Small Business Week events. So before we get started with the bulk of the presentation, I just wanted to briefly introduce folks to Small Business Majority. If you're not aware, we are a small business advocacy organization. We're founded and run by small business owners, and we are a national organization. We have offices across the country, including Washington, D.C., California, Oregon, Ohio, New York, Missouri, Virginia, among others. So we have a broad national focus, and we work in a variety of different issue areas. Our focus is on research and advocacy on issues of importance to small business owners, and so we really are dedicated to reaching out and providing educational materials to them as well. So with that, I just want to thank you so much again for joining us, and I'd like to introduce the presenter for today's webinar. Jerry Lawson is the National Manager of Energy Star for Small Business. He was one of the very first energy efficiency professionals hired by the EPA and has been working in the Energy Star program since before it was even a program. He served as the Director of Corporate Communications for Green Lights, which preceded Energy Star, and also worked with the EPA in terms of streamlining their relations with the private sector. He began working to adapt corporate Energy Star program resources for use by small businesses and not-for-profits and worship facilities in 1996 and has been working on that program since then. He has a Master of Public Affairs from Arizona State University and a bachelor's from the University of Arkansas, and we're so pleased that he joins us today. Jerry, thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. I'm very happy to be here with your members. I failed to indicate to Emma that really one of my prime qualifications is I grew up in a family financed by small business. Small business put food on the table and a roof over our heads for all my growing up years. And then for 20 years, until just recently, my wife owned and operated a retail small business. I got in on the desktop publishing, the electrical, plumbing, carpentry. So I think that gives me a little bit of credibility of small business. It's an area I asked to work with here at the EPA, so I'm very pleased to be part of this today. And very impressed with the way Small Business Majority advocates and represents small business with scientific opinion polling. And very gratified really with some of the recent findings that 87% of entrepreneurs believe improving innovation and energy efficiency are good ways to increase prosperity for small business, and that actually 78% of those polled have already adopted energy efficient practices in their businesses, and that more than 70% believe government investments in clean energy have an important role to play in boosting our national economy and job market. So I just feel like we have a very good partnership here pending in our work together. So the first slide, please. Some of us, I had worked with electric utilities in Texas and the State Energy Office in Arkansas for many years and saw a number of good programs come and go hosted by electric utilities, private sector participation, state energy offices running DOE programs, but they all seem to come and go based on budgets or whether the electric utility had a new power plant planned and had not embedded efficiency and therefore needed to sell all the power it could. So that's why we came up with a brand for energy efficiency. So now Energy Star is in its 24th year. Energy Star is recognized by more than 85% of Americans. In good measure, that's due to 65 plus types of consumer and business products that are on the shelves at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, Costco, all kinds of large retailers, as well as the smaller and franchise hardware stores like Ace and all the others that carry the same products. Energy Star reaches 1.5 billion people every month when you combine all the media, that is the advertising, the electronic messaging, the social networking that our partners increasingly do. As of 2011, Energy Star had actually matched the venerable Good Housekeeping seal on the far left of this slide, showing that our brand was growing even then, and now we're 4 years later. So what Energy Star tries to bring together, because we're EPA, we're very concerned about environmental protection, of course, climate change in particular. But we also know that we have to integrate these concerns and efforts into the economy. And with energy efficiency, we can really both protect the environment and increase the profit at the bottom line for small business with Energy Star. Emma, if you will page on through to the Energy Star Protects the Environment slide. I have to apologize for some of the animations that I never use and a person inserted in this slide set. Sorry. So Energy Star certified buildings are responsible for 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions than peer buildings that are not Energy Star. We know this, next slide, based on a large number of buildings that have used our tools and information. Cumulatively, over our 20-plus years, some 950 million metric tons carbon equivalent of have been prevented through energy efficiency. Now, we're adding about 12% to this every year with about 118, nearly 120 million metric tons additional carbon equivalent. What's carbon equivalent mean, really? Well, it's the equivalent of about 18 million homes emissions for 1 year, or the emissions of 25 million passenger vehicles, or those of 33 average-sized coal-fired power plants, or you would have to plant about 3 billion tree seedlings and let them grow for 10 years to sequester as much carbon as Energy Star with our partners save in a year. On the financial side, a $1 in savings per square foot in an office building, for example, increases cash flow by about 95 cents. It goes straight to the bottom line, and we've documented an asset value increase of about $13 per square foot. This asset value can be expressed also in higher rent. Energy Star certified buildings rent for 6.5% more on average. And when they sell, an Energy Star certified building sells at about 13% more than market average. For many years now, we've had an aspect of Energy Star that I've been fortunate to manage that is dedicated to small business. We know that our corporate partners use energy a good deal differently, and certainly within small business, that a restaurant versus an office building, a medical building, a small retailer, depending on the type of business and what's going on there, we know that energy is used differently. But what has been very interesting is over our 20 years and 350-some thousand buildings using our tools, we know that most can save 25 to 30% from their current energy bill on average, if they're a typical building. The free tools and information are at energystar.gov/smallbiz. Our partners receive a quarterly e-newsletter. We try not to communicate with you very often, but and we try to add value for your small business when we do send you an e-newsletter. We have an online guide called Putting Energy into Profits on energy efficiency, and in the next few months we'll be updating that with an action workbook I'll say a little more about. What we've learned over the years, and this goes for both large and small corporate and small business partners, is that starting with no cost, low cost, behavioral type of improvements that we call sure energy savers is the place to start. We're not advocating you go out and start buying high efficiency equipment initially. You want to get your baseline to a level that reflects you've done really what you can do at no cost and with improved behavior. We like to publish success stories. We have some of those online. And ultimately, national certification and recognition is a possibility for many types of buildings. We have free online training and informational webinars. We have them live once a month. We have them recorded we know small businesses need 24/7 access to some trainings because of the hours you work. And then when you're looking for new products and equipment, we urge you to go to EnergyStar.gov/products. We have calculators there. We have purchasing specifications. And, of course, all the Energy Star qualified products are explained. So that if you do need new equipment or products, look there first and see what's available to you. And the way to really get involved with us, first of all, is to join Energy Star. There's no cost or obligation, no reporting required unless you want to get involved in public recognition. It's basically a one-way flow of information from us to you. So go to EnergyStar.gov/join-buildings. The next slide summarizes what I just introduced as the 2014 Action Workbook for Small Business. It is under development now. It will be out in the next few months, and we'll work with Small Business Majority to be sure that all of you know when it's online. It'll be a free download of approximately 40 pages, followed by a separate PDF of resources. What we've learned really from our partners over 20 years is that there are 7 steps that really add up to saving the 25-30% and higher savings that we typically can see. And both in the text on the left and the graphic on the right, it's about making a commitment to savings. You know that in your business, that you get nowhere unless you make a commitment to sales, to tightening up your management, to any of your business goals. You know you have to make that commitment. And in the same way, we say that in saving energy, you have to assess your performance. You have to know where you're starting. You can't really manage without the information necessary to know where you're going. So with what we call benchmarking and Portfolio Manager, the online software I'll explain in a moment, you set your performance baseline. It helps you set goals for improvement. Working your way through the process, you'll tap into the new action workbook or the existing guide to create an action plan. And it's really your plan. It's figuring out what needs to be done, what's the highest return on investment, or the quickest payback for no-cost, low-cost actions. In implementing the plan, it's so important to keep an eye on your progress. Now, if you benchmark in the Portfolio Manager software, you need only add your monthly utility billing data each month or quarterly if you choose to see a scoring happening month by month as you improve your efficiency. And then we're interested in helping you recognize your achievements. Within the existing action, it was within the pending action workbook and the existing guide that's online now, we talk about sure energy savers. These are the no-cost actions, such as being sure your lights are turned off and your equipment is turned off when not in use. That sounds terribly simple, but we have good data indicating that lights are often left on in places that you're paying for, but not getting any workable value out of it. Occupancy sensors for your lighting, programmable thermostats for your heating and air conditioning can help automate a lot of your energy savings so that you can focus on your business goals and not worry so much about turning things off and on. These are typically very low cost, and if you're handy, these are do-it-yourself installations, like a light switch or a ceiling fan. If you don't have time for this, they shouldn't be a terribly expensive install. But you might want to look at gathering a handful of these low-cost items like the occupancy centers for lighting, programmable thermostat, so that if you have an electrician in, they can do it all at once. And this is depending on the size of your building and the number of installations, this is 1 hour install in most cases. Plugging leaks, minimizing uncontrolled airflow. This is just a matter of not paying to heat and cool the outdoors. A lot of things you can do with your office equipment to be sure that it's running efficiently. If you are in a small business with kitchen and food service equipment, there's a lot that can be done there. And we have an entire suite of commercial kitchen equipment that's ENERGY STAR qualified. Likewise, all the office equipment, there's an entire ENERGY STAR suite of virtually everything you use in the office, so that we wouldn't suggest running out and changing working equipment for new equipment. But when you need new equipment, look at ENERGY STAR. The next slide is a couple of screenshots from the free online tool called Portfolio Manager. This is the place that you would sit down with 12 months of your electric utility billing data, likewise your natural gas if you have gas service. If you want to track your water, wastewater, you would have that as well. Some parts of the country that is very expensive and something you want to watch also. We have a data collection worksheet so that you can print it, fill in the blanks, so that when you sit down to create your Portfolio Manager account, you'll have everything at hand, so that you don't have to get up and sit down and look for data. You're going to have to tell the software approximately your square footage. If it's interesting whether you own or are a tenant. Certainly the guidance for what a tenant would do is very different from whether you own the building. But still, as a tenant, there's quite a lot you can do in terms of no cost, low cost, or even improving your merchandising with lighting is important. So that might be something you would actually invest in. Portfolio Manager is online, so that your actual zip code gets to be very important. It's going into 50 years of national weather data and performing what we call a weather normalization. We know, especially in the last couple of years, you've noticed that your weather locally may have been very different from what you experienced over most of your life. You may have some extreme weather in terms of flooding, droughts, storms. You may be in even I know as far south as Louisiana was hit by the polar vortex this last winter. And while, with people who don't understand climate change, it's sometimes cute to talk about a polar vortex as somehow indicating we're not having global warming. On the contrary, extreme weather events are driven by a baseline of a warmer ocean. So sometimes that results in colder weather in some places. When we were having the coldest winter, Australia was having record heating. It is all the same Earth, and greater drought or greater flood may occur in one place or another, but the weather is warming overall. It's going to have huge impacts on our crops, on the disease vectors, as insects are able to spread further and further north from further south. So the software is going to give you an incredibly strong and accurate handle on your own energy use, beyond just a simple spreadsheet that many of you are probably doing. This is going to level out the weather anomalies so that you won't get a false price signal in which you may think that you're saving energy or wasting energy more than you really are because of weather conditions that are not normal. So your zip code is going to do a very sophisticated weather normalization in the background for you. Likewise, your zip code is going to key into what the electric utility serving your zip code reports to EPA in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. So you will know with great accuracy what your own greenhouse gas emissions are for your small business. While you're in the Portfolio Manager tool, the graph on the left icons are showing that there are frequently asked questions, that you can actually ask us a question while you're inside the Portfolio Manager tool. There's a glossary of terms. There's a knowledge base. Um, you can learn more about the tool while you're in it. You can learn about the technical references you may encounter. Um, there are wizards in terms of the data entry that if it looks like to the software you put a zero or a decimal point in the wrong place, it's going to ask you to check that. If there are inconsistencies in your square footage, it's going to help you be sure that you keep your data accurate. On the next slide, we just point out that Portfolio Manager has become a standard national platform. It was actually adopted by Canada. It's being used in the European Union, not officially, but it is being used. I've done trainings for international facility managers. If you're interested in the U.S. Green Building Council's LEED certifications or Green Globe certifications, you can track that while you're in Portfolio Manager. And there's a growing list, and I should share this, a link with Emma and Small Business Majority, because there's getting to be quite a list of state and particularly local city councils requiring mandatory benchmarking in Portfolio Manager. This is not something we promote because we're voluntary, but where local governments are concerned about greenhouse gas emissions and climate change, they found that a free tool like Portfolio Manager helps everyone in the city figure out more what they're doing and what can be done on greenhouse gas emissions. The next slide just shows how quickly, since 1999, Portfolio Manager has grown. As of the last two years, we have more than 350,000 commercial buildings benchmarking in Portfolio Manager. That's actually 40% of all U.S. commercial building square footage. Along in the next slide, a similar slope to the graph is that 22,000 of these buildings have earned the Energy Star certification. So we're having a rapid growth there as well. And these are the buildings, these are the commercial buildings using about 35% less energy. The next slide is just another screenshot from Portfolio Manager. It's just showing what it looks like. It's very user-friendly. We relaunched it last summer after 2 years of 200 of our users helping us redesign it, modeled on softwares like TurboTax and other very user-friendly softwares. The next slide is just what it looks like to set up your meters for electricity. If you use natural gas, you just check boxes. If you'd like to track your water use, you can do that here as well. Certainly the water use does not go in your energy score, but increasingly it's part of what you pay for. Entering your data accurately on the next slide, as I said, there are automatic alerts that will pop up in pink and red if it looks like there's some gap or overlap in your meter data. We're trying to help you enter it accurately. The next slide, this is particularly important if some of you are involved with franchises or if you have multiple properties. If you have one property, this might not be as interesting to you. But on the other hand, a possible sharing use might be if Small Business Majority wanted to have a friendly competition nationally of all its members to see on sort of a levelized basis, say a percentage basis from a baseline, whatever that baseline is. Small Business Majority might want to have a friendly competition, maybe even with awards a year from now, to see who's done the most relative to their size and relative to their baseline in terms of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving their profits through energy efficiency. One way we would do that is through the sharing function. You would simply allow Small Business Majority to see a couple of figures from your business, or you would proactively share a piece or two of data with them. Otherwise, your data is password protected. The server that holds Portfolio Manager is not even on a federal government server. It's one of our private sector contractors, which protects it, oddly enough, from Freedom of Information Act inquiries. That's actually a cottage industry here in the District of Columbia, is doing Freedom of Information Act requests. Competitors often want to find out what another competitor is doing, and we set up portfolio managers so that vendors who want to sell products to those of you who may be remodeling or expanding or showing great interest in energy efficiency, we didn't want them to be able to FOIA your information and get to you. So we've been able to protect our partners' information, and this includes a large number of Fortune 500 companies who've trusted Energy Star for more than 20 years. So your data is secure here. Well, the next slide is just a quick screenshot of how to set your goals at a property level for your small business square footage. It's very intuitive, and it's pull-down menus, and you can easily sit there and click through determining what you would like to do in terms of your goals. Next slide shows that for reporting, and this is reporting for yourself or within your business, not reporting to Energy Star unless you choose to participate in some of our public recognition competitions and campaigns. And if you were reporting to us for any reason, it's fairly minimal, and those are from preset templates or chart and graph options here within the tool. You may want to generate and create your own templates and reports depending on what your priorities are. Finally, some of you will go all the way and earn a 75 on the 1 to 100 scale, and you would be eligible for Energy Star certification. While this is a good thing, and we certainly support that in a lot of ways, we know that if you start off with a 15 or 20 score, taking your portfolio manager score to 35 or 50 is really money at your bottom line. So it's not about certification, not all about that. It's about continual improvement and finding what's cost effective for you to save money, and in saving money, you're going to be preventing pollution. The next slide shows 3 versions of the Energy Star logo. On the left is for those who earn certification. You can show this in your advertising, on your building, wherever you promote your business. In the middle is the promotional mark. You could begin to use that today. You would be helping Energy Star by using the Learn More at EnergyStar.gov. Even before you're a partner, you can show that you support Energy Star and you're going to affiliate. And then on the right is the partner mark. Once you sign up in Energy Star, you'll have the partner logo to use, declaring that you are an Energy Star partner. And you can learn more with the bottom URL address, energystar.gov/logos. The next slide shows Bring Your Green to Work. This is one of the sets of communication resources and educational resources that you could share with your employees or even your customers. There's a flip side to Bring Your Green to Work. It's Bring Your Green Home. So these publications that you can order online, or the online interactive tool, are things that you can engage your staff with to help them save money at your business and become more engaged even at home. The next slide is the cover of our competitions guide for buildings and plants. This is a free online download. You can find it at energystar.gov/buildings. There's a link there to the Tools and Resources library and the communication resources. This is, again, something we learned from and with our business partners, that competitions are fun and they're actually a very effective way to save energy. It's just getting people educated and involved. So this is a free download you can go grab today, even before you're a partner. Finally, last slide is just that if you have questions about Energy Star, you can go online and submit questions at Buildings Help. That's the bottom URL address, energystar.gov Buildings Help. Those can be general questions about Energy Star, or if you're using or learning about Portfolio Manager, you can ask questions there. Above it in the middle of the page is the home page for small business, energystar.gov/smallbiz. and on top is the building's training, where you can go to register for live trainings or to find the recorded trainings. So Emma and audience, that's it for me. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much, Jerry. Just for folks, as a reminder, if you have questions, you can enter them in the chat box on the lower left-hand side of your screen. And we have had a couple of questions that have come in. So the first question is, as a small business owner, I'm not ready to make such a big commitment now. How can I start with smaller steps? So I guess maybe just if you had a recommendation, Jerry, for one or two small first steps that someone could make, I guess, especially if they don't perhaps own their space.
Sure. Well, I would suggest you go to EnergyStar.gov/smallbiz, SMALLBIZ, as shown. If you don't want to even commit to downloading a free 40-page document, you can find the Sure Energy Savers in the Putting Energy into Profits guide. It's just a list of things that you can look at, and you'll immediately know whether it's something that makes sense for you. We have a list that makes more sense for tenants, and that largely gets into just turn things off. Be sure that you or your staff are trained to turn equipment off when you're leaving or not using it. It does get to be in a small cost, maybe $25 for occupancy sensors that will help automate. Again, a low cost, $50 for programmable thermostats, depending on the sophistication and square footage of your system. But go to the low cost, no cost, the Sure Energy Savers. That's a lot of things that you can do or think about doing, and you'll know best, once you see them, whether it's something you've already done or maybe need to do.
Great. The next question that we have is about the competitions. We actually got this question from a couple of folks who are wondering if you could clarify a little bit how they can participate in the competitions that you have going on.
All right. Let me give you a URL address. Now, one of these, there's not much notice here. We have a national building competition, 6th year. Applications are due this Friday, the 16th. I realize that's a very short time frame because we do require you to benchmark in Portfolio Manager. You could actually get that done. It might, in terms of gathering your utility billing data and doing the data collection worksheet, it's really how many computers and printers do you have, what's your approximate square footage, plus your 12 months of electric and gas entered into Portfolio Manager. It's going to give you a score 1 to 100, and with that you would be eligible to enter the National Building Competition. I do realize with all you're doing as small business owners and operators that this Friday the 16th will come very, very quickly. But you can go to EnergyStar.gov/Battle of the Buildings. That's one word, Battle of the Buildings. And you can see what we do. Anyone who achieves a 20% savings from their baseline receives public recognition from Energy Star, and you'll be recognized online. We have one award for each facility type nationally. Last year in 2013, we had over 3,000 buildings compete in the National Building Competition. Big buildings, small buildings, school districts, churches, synagogues, manufacturers. Those 3,000 saved $20 million as verified within the Portfolio Manager tool over the year. And this, for all of us who are concerned about climate change, this was more than 130 metric tons in greenhouse gas emissions. So again, to learn more about this competition, Battle of the Buildings, and in fact this year we're encouraging teams. So if you have franchises or you maybe have a next door small business, you don't have to be affiliated as businesses. You can be Team Main Street or Team 800 block of Caroline Street. You can pull together a team if you have 5 players. Um, and if you have questions about Battle of the Buildings and really want to make a push for it this week, let me give you my email address, lawson.jerry@epa.gov. That's lawson.jerry@epa.gov. If you want to make a push to try to get involved by Friday and get your benchmarking done, we'll have some special help available. Is there another question?
We have one more question. As a reminder, if you have a question, feel free to enter it in the chat box on the lower left-hand side of your screen, and we can get those questions answered. But the last question we have right now is about folks who work from home and how they can participate in these types of programs. Susan says that she's a small business owner who runs her business out of her home. How can she get involved?
Well, we have been aware of that for a long time. I forget the numbers, but there's hundreds of thousands, if not more, small businesses that are either home-based or starting up in a home. At EnergyStar.gov/smallbiz, you'll see that there is a special set of information for home-based small businesses. So go to the small business homepage, and you'll see, along with a group of information for special types of businesses like restaurants, grocery stores, office, retail, lodging, auto dealers, etc. We do include home-based. We know that you're a critical type of small business, so the information there is tailored for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And with that, it does not look like we have any more questions, so I just want to let folks know that we have been recording today's presentation, and we will be putting it up on our website, smallbusinessmajority.org, later this week, so that if you would like to review part of the presentation that you missed, you can check back in there, or if you'd like to review back, review the slides or what have you, you can look back in there. If you'd like a copy of the slides, please reach out to me. My name is Emma Hollister, and again, I'm the network manager at Small Business Majority. I can be reached via email. My email address is ehollister@smallbusinessmajority.org. That's EHOLLISTER@smallbusinessmajority.org. And with that, I want to once again thank Jerry Lawson so much for joining us on today's presentation. Thank you all for participating. Jerry, do you have any final words?
If I might say one more thing, I would urge everyone, when I mentioned the home-based business, we lead people there to our home improvements page, among other things. And since everyone is paying a home energy bill as well, go to EnergyStar.gov, and across the top you'll see energy savings at home. So that's a good place to save some money too.
Great. Well, thank you so much again for joining us, and thank you everybody who was on the presentation today. This now concludes today's webinar.